I ended up in urgent care because of my eyebrows. No joke. I am kind of embarrassed to say this, but I feel like I wanted to tell my story about what happened to me so that the same thing won't happen to you. I'm 55 years old, so I really try to live a healthy lifestyle. I eat well, I exercise, I take care of myself, but I also do try new beauty procedures. And one thing that I have been dying to try for a long time is microblading. And in case you're new to that party, it's basically eyebrow tattoos. Why does somebody need to get their eyebrows tattooed, you might ask? In the 80s, Brooke Shields eyebrows were really popular. Everybody wanted natural, full eyebrows. Then we got into the 90s. And as I became an actress and then a sportscaster, I started to overpluck my eyebrows. And kind of the fashion in the 90s was, really like Pamela Anderson, Gwen Stefani, really thin. Chola, really, really thin eyebrows. And now that we're back to more of a natural looking brow, it's too late. They're gone. Gone. My eyebrows did not grow back. So when I found out about microblading, I thought, I want to get that done. But I've never had a tattoo, ever. My skin is virginal and pure. I don't have tattoos. And unlike regular tattoos that are like a needle, microblading is actually a skinny little blade that makes little hair-like looking tattoos that emulate the eyebrow. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do this, but I am a crack investigative journalist. So I'm going to do my research and I'm going to do it right. I'm going to go to somebody who's a registered nurse. I'm going to go to somebody that other people have gone to that I know and trust. So I wanted to tape it on my phone to kind of show you, okay, it doesn't really hurt. It's a tattoo. That's all I thought was going to happen. I thought I'm going to get this procedure done. I'm going to put it on my iPhone and then show it to you guys. And it was going to turn out great. And you guys could go and have the same procedure done. But I was just more concerned about, would it hurt? I had no idea what was about to happen. Here we go. This is what my eyebrows and eyelashes look like. I'm here in the car. I got here early, so I had enough time to take a pain pill with my water. And then hopefully they put some numbing cream on too, because it's really supposed to hurt. So I'll be here for a couple of hours. I'm really scared. It takes, from what I've heard, a week to recover because the tattoos get kind of bloody afterwards, obviously, because you're poking your eyebrow area with needles. So at first it's going to look weird and scabby, and then hopefully I'll be pretty and be able to save a lot of time doing my makeup in the next year.
She's almost done. Like, I can definitely feel it, but it doesn't hurt. It's more like a little prickling sensation. No pain, no gain.
They look really good, right? It's weird having eyebrows again. Overall, I'm pleased. I think it looks really good. All right, so I wasn't expecting this. I was supposed to have a week off of work before I went back on camera. It's just been 24 hours since I had my eyebrows basically tattooed, and they're too dark, and they haven't scabbed and fallen off and lightened up yet, so they don't look normal. I think they look too dark. And I had to go on camera today for a breaking news story. This big scandal, this college admissions scam, the biggest in US history. So of course I said yes, but I was really self-conscious about my eyebrows the whole time. These better turn natural quickly or I'm going to be very self-conscious on camera. Day 3, they look good. However, something interesting happened today. When I woke up, they both were kind of weepy and starting to scab. However, on one side, I noticed that it looked a little pussy or a little bit yellow and not clear. This side is clear, this side was a little bit yellow, which could be a sign of an infection. So I called my girlfriend Dina, who had this done before, and she suggested that I put Neosporin on my eyebrows instead of the regular ointment that the lady gave me to put on twice a day. So starting today, I'm switching to Neosporin. This is day 4, and this has taken a turn for the worse. Overnight, I woke up probably about 4 o'clock in the morning, and I had a headache, and my eyebrows, like right underneath my eyebrows, my eyelids were kind of swollen and red, and both of my eyebrows have now had this yellowish secretion. At urgent care, waiting. Well, I knew it. Yep, I have an infection. So I have a prescription for Keflex for 7 days. I have to take it 3 times a day, plus an antibiotic ointment, which I'm supposed to apply twice a day. Hold on, I'm getting into my Jeep. So that's it. She said that, you don't want to mess around with an infection, that especially close to my eyes and, on my head. She goes, definitely, we don't want to mess around with it. Again, she said my eyebrows look great. Night 4, it's still red, very swollen. My eyelids are really swollen and I'm very, very kind of discolored and red. But I've started the antibiotics today, so hopefully things will be better tomorrow. Okay, it's day 5. This is my second day of doing the Keflex 3 times a day. I've been trying to wash the kind of yellowy stuff off my eyebrows. Did that twice yesterday and once today. And I do notice that the ink is definitely lightening up. So I'm pretty sure I screwed up my eyebrows by having to wash them, and I'm probably messing with the ink. I'm really red, and even my face is red. It's kind of all inflamed from this infection. I know this is only the second day since I've been taking the antibiotics, but I'm really freaking out and scared. I'm hoping that it works because it's just making me nervous to have this infection so close to my eyes. It's day 6, and Cupcake and I are outside in my gazebo, enjoying the gorgeous weather right now, and also just trying to get some fresh air into my wounds. And I'm still very red and still swollen around the eyebrow area, and so that's just made me really sad. So I'm kind of going into a little bit of a funk, and hoping that being outside on a nice day will help cheer me up a little bit. I feel better today, thank goodness, because this weekend was horrible. I went to work today because I had a story airing and I needed to do my voiceover for it. And it wasn't so bad. I felt like I looked better. I think last we left off, I was concerned about the fact that maybe some of the products that I was using on my eyes, some of the medication, may have been a problem. And I think that's exactly what happened. The registered nurse that did my procedure actually gave me an antibiotic ointment to put on twice a day. Here's the issue. Apparently, I'm also allergic to Neosporin. And when I went to the urgent care doctor, she gave me a different kind of ointment to use twice a day. Well, yesterday I stopped using the ointment halfway through the day, and guess what? That yellow pus stopped coming out of my eyebrows. So it's almost like my body was telling me and warning me, stop putting this on, and that pus was an indication that I was hurting myself, and my eyebrows are so much better. Now they're still a little itchy and dry, but that's normal. I'm supposed to scab up, and the scabs, eventually go away on their own after a few days, and what's left underneath is the tattoo, the microblading. I think in a few more days, if the scab continues to heal up, the skin underneath, and then the scab goes away naturally, hopefully this will be cleared up and I'll be healthy and still have decent looking eyebrows. So after all my drama, I wanted to talk to experts that really know what they're doing in this field. So I talked to Dr. Frank and the guy that performs microblading in his office, Christopher, because I wanted them to tell me what they thought happened to me and what advice they would give to you if you're considering having microblading done yourself. So, Dr. Frank, I am fascinated by how many people that I have Googled have had serious issues with microblading. Can you tell me what you've seen and why you think so many women have had serious problems?
Well, first and foremost, it has to do with volume itself. It's a very popular and exciting treatment. For a lot of people, it's a very helpful treatment because it allows to give a very natural looking eyebrow. But the more that these things are done and with less regulation, there are risks to all procedures. And when these risks aren't managed and treated when they do occur, well, that's when we start getting the horror stories.
Okay, so tell me what you've seen.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest risk of any cosmetic procedure is its aesthetic result being poorly done. No one wants to be stuck with bad eyebrows. This is obviously like any cosmetic surgery, something that takes an aesthetic eye and a lot of practice and experience.
In my case, I thought I did everything right, doctor. I went to a registered nurse, somebody who one of my closest friends had gone to and had great results with. I saw her literally taking the blade out of the wrap.
Yeah.
Everything looked clean, everything looked nice. And 48 hours later, I started to get a serious, what appeared to be an infection.
But again, the person who provided the care is not a dermatologist, wouldn't know how to recognize the difference or treat it. It's possible if you were in the right hands, you could have gotten a topical steroid or a different cream, and you never would have gone down that path. It's about recognizing the problems and intervening when they happen. When you have an allergic reaction, it does make your skin more susceptible to infection, so it's possible you got an infection on top of that. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. So, doctor, give me some advice. If you're a woman that's watching this right now, because, at the end of the day, my eyebrows are good. They turned out all right. If somebody's watching this and they're considering having the microblading procedure done, what advice would you give them?
Well, I do think it's important that you go to someone who has the appropriate licensure. Word of mouth is always good because you want to make sure they have experience. They can show you before and afters of their own work. I always find it's best, again, I have my own microblading aesthetic tattoo artist here. It works very well working in a medical environment where there is a doctor nearby who knows about the complications of tattooing, who has experience with skin allergies and skin infections, and just so you cover your bases so that even if something bad does happen, which occasionally does, that it's going to be managed and you're going to end up with the result that just took a long time for you to get.
Because this kind of procedure is fairly new, a lot of people see these big stars getting this procedure done. Adele, for example, had it, and many stars talk about the fact that they've had these great results.
Yeah.
Do you think it's important to let people know that just because a celebrity does something doesn't mean that everybody should do it? Maybe they don't have the same resources that Adele does.
Exactly.
So it just kind of makes sense to do your research first.
Absolutely. And I think, again, the key reminder is people have to realize in the internet and social media world, there is nothing that doesn't have cost and benefit, cost-risk ratios. And it's important to note that there are small but significant risks with this and that you address this with whoever is going to be providing you with the service. Like, that you could ask the person, what can go wrong and what can be done if it does go wrong? You need those answers from whoever is going to be providing the service.
Now, you mentioned that you have somebody that you work with in your office, Christopher,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So I want to talk to Christopher about what he does for you and some of the suggestions he might have for a woman or a man who feels like they want to have this procedure done. Would it be okay if I spoke with him too?
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Dr. Frank. Bye.
See you.
So, Christopher, I just talked to Dr. Frank. And
Right.
He said that you work with him and you actually perform microblading to his
Yes.
patients. I had my procedure done with an RN, and I thought that I did everything right. But I had a problem. I ended up getting either an allergic reaction or an infection. I'll never know, really, at the end of the day, what happened.
Right.
Have you seen a lot of problems from women that have had microblading done?
I have. Not from me.
Of course
Thank
not.
God. My guess is when it does happen, it's someone that hasn't been trained properly, that doesn't know exactly what they're doing on some level.
Let me ask you a question, because you do mention that microblading is actually, it's kind of just like getting a tattoo, right? It's a tattoo.
Right.
So when you get a tattoo, say on your arm, don't they cover it with something before you leave? You don't just go out into the world.
Correct. And I have a big issue. Like when I do it, I do not want someone just, I don't just wash it off and say, okay, have a great day. I actually put on, and it's an invisible barrier cream, and it is waterproof, and it does not come off for 2 to 3 days. And I do it for the exact reason that you're talking about, because I don't trust people, to be honest with you. And I live in New York City, so people, leave my office or Dr. Frank's office and go onto the subway and, go out to eat or whatever, and then inevitably they're going to touch their eyebrows. So that's a big issue.
You just solved the mystery for me, I think, because I couldn't figure out why when you get a tattoo done, you cover it. But when you get a microblading procedure done, which somebody's just stuck blades into your skin, and you walk outside, literally, when I had mine done, I walked out of her office and into a construction zone. There was dust and dirt everywhere and to get to my car. And I'm thinking, there's nothing between what just happened to my eyebrows and the dust and dirt in the air. I wonder if that's getting into my eyebrows. 48 hours later, I have an infection.
After I do my procedure, I actually, while I'm talking to them, I tell them about aftercare, because I found that you have to repeat it more than once. You have to repeat it about 5 times, literally. And so I tell them about aftercare, how to be careful because of bacteria. You don't want an infection. I give them a sheet that explains everything on day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, all the way up through day 10. And I really, really, really focus on keeping it clean, being careful not to touch it. You don't want to get infections. You don't want bacteria in there. So it's really important to do all of that. And so I'm just assuming here, but when you say you didn't clean it till the next day, you probably weren't told proper aftercare. Can I tell you too? In big bold letters on my aftercare sheet, I say do not use Neosporin for 2 reasons. Number 1, a lot of people have allergic reactions to it. And number 2, it has zinc in it, and zinc can pull the color out of a tattoo. So Neosporin is a big no-no. This was a licensed nurse, and, so obviously you're going to trust a nurse, and think that she knows everything she's doing. As far as training, she may not have been trained properly. She might have only taken a day training, Right. I mean, they're out there. She might have only taken an online training.
Are you seeing a lot of that, Christopher? Are you seeing people go online and get some kind of a certification?
Yeah. Thank you for doing that, because that's all it is. It's words. So as far as every state is different, every county is different, really. But this is all governed by the Department of Health, not by the Department of Aesthetics. So all you need, at least in New York, is a 3-hour course in bloodborne pathogens. And it's the easiest course in the world. I always tell people a monkey could take the test and pass it. So it's not like it's difficult.
Okay.
And it's only on bloodborne pathogens. It's not on, your technique or anything about tattooing whatsoever. You pay $250 and you get your license. When you have a regular tattoo artist, they have to do an apprenticeship for 2 years without touching a single person for 2 years.
Wow.
When you do microblading, you can take a certification course and start doing it the next day.
That's ridiculous. That is amazing. You have completely educated me.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Christopher.
No
Between you
problem.
and Dr. Frank, I feel like I wish I would have met you before I did my procedure, but maybe the next time around I'll be talking to you in person.
No, please. They look great, though.
They're okay. They're all right. Well, now I fill them in and I fix them a little bit, but
yeah.
It could have been a lot worse.
It could have been way worse. So just be thankful.
I am. I'm thankful, and I'm thankful to you for joining me.
No
Thank
problem.
you so much. Bye, Christopher. I feel so much better now that I've spoken to people that know what they're doing. Because next time around, and there will be a next time around, I know you've watched this whole thing and you're going, Lisa, really? You're gonna have it done again? You're ridiculous. No, I feel like now I know what happened, and thank God I don't have any more infection. It was a horrible 2 weeks, but I never ended up in the hospital and I recovered. But what had happened was, because of the infection, a lot of the ink had lifted in certain parts. So although they look better than they did before I had the procedure done, they still look a little uneven and I still need to fill them in a little bit. So I'm gonna go back, but this time I think I'm gonna go to Christopher, because I'm not gonna take chances anymore. I really now know what kind of the worst case scenario is. I'm not gonna let that happen to me anymore. So if you've had an infection in your eyebrows like I did, or some kind of allergic reaction, let me know in the comments below. Also, if you have any other beauty procedures that you're thinking of doing, make sure you comment, because I'm thinking of doing a few things, and maybe I'll do a thing or two that you want me to do on camera, and I'll post it right here at Lisa Guerrero TV.